Thank you, Leanne, and welcome everybody to this month's Connect with Remedy webinar. During the presentation today, you're able to ask the questions in the Q&A pod of the WebEx, and our panelists will answer those during the presentation. After the presentation, our presenters will take live questions, and at that time, we'll explain how to signal the operator to queue up for any questions you may have. At this time, I'd like to turn over our multi-cloud service management 1802 overview over to Pradeep Kumar.
Thank you everyone for joining. I'm truly excited today to talk about this next step in our strategy in world-class service management. So what I really want to do in here today is to keep my focus on showing our product. And I have here my colleague, Adrian, who has been the product architect from the very beginning for this product. So he's here with us. So we're going to have him go over some of these technical architectural type of the details. But we want to give you and show you the product in action. That's our intent. So let's just jump right into it. And the agenda for today for me is I want to take a couple minutes defining the problem, how this our landscape has evolved, and where exactly is the problem space that we are tackling, the day-to-day challenges that you are encountering. Then a little bit of a capability overview, the exciting set of capabilities that we have built that allows you to deal with these challenges in a much effective manner than today. Lot of demos, that's what we want to do, show the product in action. It's been out there for a while. Many of our customers are playing with it. We would like it, to show it here. That's the intent, and then get into the architecture, and sort of the unique approach here that through the UI, you can tailor the complete solution without having to go to anywhere else. And then, as Greg said, Q&A through the chat window. You can continue to ask. We have a set of panelists available. They'll be answering your questions throughout the presentation, or after we're done with the presentation part, we will have an open audio lines to be able to ask questions. So to me, this is one of the most important slides from our strategy perspective. If you want to understand what we're thinking today, we as BMC, it summarizes where our focus has been, where we are at today, where are we going in terms of the capabilities that we are delivering, right? So we have been very well known, and as you all know, thank you for all my customers for being a customer, right? So the service management excellence, we have invested heavily into it. We have invested into the user experience piece of it and making it much more efficient with advanced set of differentiated capabilities, right? There's no one else that has those set of capabilities that we have with our rich history and capabilities, right? So that's been one pillar for a number of years. We have, and you all know about it, right? From there on, the second challenge that we are addressing is this change in landscape where cloud, not only just one cloud, multiple clouds have penetrated into our enterprise, right? And we need tools to be able to manage that effectively. So that's one piece, right? So how do we evolve this tool set to be able to manage these clouds, multiple clouds, in a much more efficient and effective, cohesive manner? By the way, at the same time, all these consumer tools, the end user tools are evolving, and and how do we make the service available through all channels, through omni-channel service, right? So through web, mobile, social, Slack, text messaging, WhatsApp, all of these channels, I as a consumer are using those, and I ought to be able to get all my requests done and every other service interaction done through that. And That's been a pillar for us. And the next step in our journey is about making all of these pieces way more intelligent through machine learning capability. We're calling it a cognitive enterprise. And we have a few products out already. I'm sure there were webinars that were done before, the demos that are available. We have integrations today with IBM Watson, where you can categorize your incidents. And our focus there is to be able to make the whole layer, each one of the components, extremely intelligent, to be able to leverage those capabilities and make it much, much cognitive. So our focus today is, if you look at that strategy in the middle portion of the part in addressing the multi-cloud challenge. So I think it's a very simple question. Why multi-cloud management? And the answer is that today's enterprise, when cloud has been in abundance, that's just face it. If you look at BMC, we use 50 plus different cloud services from different vendors. And within each category of cloud, right, infrastructure, platform, and SaaS, we have multitude of vendors. So, because as an enterprise, our business is complex, we have different factors that determine that this should be here in AWS cloud, this should be in Azure, this should be in Google cloud, this should be in Oracle, someone else's cloud, right? There are different drivers, business drivers that sort of forces as an enterprise, or that makes it the most suitable for my enterprise to be in, right? So what we need is tools to be able to do a better job, look across, have a single pane of glass, right? Why we do it? Obviously, to get the single pane of glass to drive cost and organizational efficiencies, right? There are some cloud services that are best suited, hosted by that cloud vendor. There are some where I can consolidate in one large public cloud vendor and drive cost efficiencies, right? So, and then, we have all seen the benefit of agility and automation with cloud, right? So, instant provisioning, right? Today, if you use DWP Advanced and you are using AWS, it's completely out of the box. Instant provisioning of the environment. When you need it, then it's ready. You're not paying anything extra. You're not buying set of boxes that are going to be there for months before someone actually starts using it. When the developer needs it, at the moment, instant provisioning out of the box, just out of DWP, that kind of approach, right? And then you have a set of standards and governance that can be followed, right? So that's kind of the state of the art, and most of us enterprises are roughly there in our journey towards that, right? We're moving in that journey. So just drilling down a little bit more deeper into with that landscape, right? What are the sort of challenge, right? If you break it down for the service desk, what are the challenge, right? So, well, now let's think about, let's say we use Salesforce automation service, so Salesforce application from salesforce.com, right? And what set of the challenges do I have to think about? Do I have to think about how many releases are they going to have? When they release? Do I have a choice? In this case, I don't have a choice. When can I begin my validation so that when they roll it out, all of my applications, integrations, business functions continue to work fine, right? So how do I prepare for new releases, right? That used to be the same. The challenge used to be when we were rolling out on-prem software, the challenge used to be the same. The difference here is that the control has gone a little bit away, and the control is with the vendor, And so in most cases, the vendor decides when my software gets upgraded. They have a set schedule. I have to plan my own activities, my project as per the vendor's schedule, right? Then how do I discover, right? If I'm running a huge workload in AWS, different public clouds, then how do I discover those, right? That's again, challenge is the same, but sort of the context has moved from on-prem to in the cloud. How do I service our apps and, all these security and being able to answer questions about the applications, help our users out? How do I do that, right? How do I collaborate with these vendors? So with the cloud-based service, right, there are parts that I need to take care of, which relates to my implementation of that cloud-based service for my enterprise. And there are parts that needs to go to the vendor, right? There's a service request that I need to open. There is a so how do I collaborate on that? How do I have a sort of a unified visibility into it? How do I monitor, right? Do I know that are they up, down? My users, how are they? Is it impaired? Are they, is the UI layer, is the reporting layer, is everything working fine, right? And then if there is knowledge that I need to share, how do I get into that so that we don't replicate or duplicate efforts between the vendor and us? So those are the set of challenges, right? In a cloud world, it just comes up with a different set of standards, a different set of issues. So let's dig a little more deeper into it, right? We're talking about this is a end user BMC company that we talked to, understood a customer, BMC customer that we talked to. And in today's world, right, they have, to get into these challenges, what they have done historically is they have n number of these integrations that they have built. So point-to-point integrations where definitions exist in the back-end files. And some developer knows there are some design documents that are old. They're there that only the developer can get to, right? And then there are these, all of a sudden things just break because, something changed on the vendor end, right? Without you getting a notification, without you knowing, again. So that's the challenge, right? This customer company built 10 plus cloud integrations through ticket automation for the service piece. They just built it, and now they have a team of developers that have to manage it. But so that's, and then there are issues about SLAs, common set of rules. Now from there, this is the situation today. Sort of, I would say a maturest way of managing these integrations, not having complete visibility, having to validate each one of those integrations when a new version of Remedy is released, right? That's your own responsibility. So that's our current sort of state of affairs with respect to this, the existing solutions. And this is a really important slide for me, and I just want to take a moment here to explain and hopefully help you visualize what exactly are we talking about multi-cloud service management. You would see there are many vendors in the space, they talk about multi-cloud service management, but in terms of their offering and investment in real solutions, there is hardly anything. So we, as BMC, we have decided this is a core pillar of our strategy. So we released Discovery for Multi-Cloud, right? That allows you to discover these environments in public clouds. On that path, further investment, and we have released Multi-Cloud Service Management. The first version was released in November, December timeframe last year. Next version was released in Feb 1802, right? That's a new version numbering. But this is a cloud-based SaaS offering that adds on to your Remedy ITSM, right? So complementing Remedy ITSM capabilities for this brave new world of multi-cloud, for you to be able to manage these services in much more effective manners, right? So, and the use cases, this is just a start from, if you can see our vision here, we are starting with core use cases, and we have a whole lot to go and build, right? So ticket brokering, SIAM has been one use case that's been there that people have built using a lot of tools, a lot of different tools. What that is your incident is in Remedy or in third-party other systems. You want to broker it into one, sort of integrate that, have visibility on both ends, collaborate it. But so that's one use case, that key capability. The difference here that we are providing here, and the difference is that we're, with this next generation of integration as a platform being the foundation for us, it is plug and play out of the box. So with AWS, if you want to open a ticket in AWS, you do not have to go to AWS support portal and manually do it. Once you have multi-cloud service management, you set up, configure your rules, it'll monitor tickets in Remedy with that specific criteria. And when it finds one matching, it knows AWS authentication credentials, it knows the transformation, what it needs to do. It's going to create a ticket, bring the ticket number back to Remedy, shows you on Smart IT on all of your clients, mobile, and then you have agents collaborating right from Smart IT, so that all this information about this interaction is available in Smart IT or to the other agent in the cloud vendors side. So out of the box, we're shipping AWS, we're shipping Service Cloud. And by the way, the system allows you to integrate with your own vendor, right? As long as you support REST and SOAP and some of these key capability technologies, that ticketing APIs is available, you can just configure the system. In fact, reuse most of what we shipped and build your own connector and just hook things up. So that's one major use case. The second core capabilities, and there we have seen a whole lot of interest coming up from our customers, is out-of-the-box integration for DevOps execution, right? So there are a whole lot of these use cases where, there is a service request or a ticket that gets opened in Remedy, but that ultimately requires some dev work to be done on the dev tool, Agile development tool like Jira, Rally, or Agile Central. So then you want to clear transparency and communication between these two systems, so that you have visibility. Who is the developer who's working on? What's the ticket on the other side? How can I sort of collaborate with that developer? How can I ask a question? When is it due? When is the ETA? The developer wants more information. Then all of these rich interactions are captured in the system, right? So we understand the value here, right? Here, it's not about, it's about having everything in the system, a single pane of glass with no scope for any confusion or any communication gap that, oh, no, you're supposed to work on it. No, you're supposed to provide me this log that I'm waiting on you. You can maintain those SLAs to your vendor tickets. You can get a complete picture. How long was this ticket waiting for who, right? So getting that context around this cloud services, right? Otherwise, if your ticket data is fragmented on the vendor support side, the vendor, the vendor basically have the data. You have a limited set of data. When it comes time for your quarterly reviews, yearly renewals, so you really have enough of the data to say that the kind of service that you were expecting is the service that you are getting. So both of those use cases, and then there is cloud service dashboard that allows you to really get intelligent pieces of information about this interaction. So we'll see a whole lot of this as we go along. Let's dig in a little more. From a persona perspective, again, we're enriching our existing personas, right? So if you're a service desk agent, you will get the vendor ticket information right in here, by the way, on all the devices that we work, right? You on a mobile device, iOS device, on your Android device, or your Smart IT user interface. So that's persona. Second, DevOps manager, right? In a change record, you will get the Jira ticket information or rally ticket information come into there. Service owner, cloud service owner, now we have a placeholder for them to go to and monitor all the cloud services. Is it up? How many tickets are open? How many tickets, what's been the weekly close rate? By the way, are there any notifications that are coming in from vendors? All of that rich contextual information for cloud service owner. So this is, I hope you can see this. This is Smart IT incident screen, and you will, right there on the incident that was brokered to, in this case, this incident was brokered to AWS. So you can see the AWS ticket information right in here, and you can collaborate from the activity feed. You can, and when there are status updates, important status updates, they are communicated back and forth. Right. And so, again, the solution is completely out of the box, right? You have an AWS connector, you have a Remedy connector. We put the flows together, right? So that problem is broken down into create ticket, update ticket, collaborate on ticket, and those flows are shipped. What you need to do to use the service is configure where your remedy is, configure what's your AWS account number, and it'll start flowing. By the way, I use some custom fields. They show up, you get out of the box mapping, and you map your custom fields if you like, and now you're ready to use your custom fields. So, and that all of that done through the UI. So that's the next generation integration platform capabilities. I'm sure many of us have seen that coming up. We are leveraging that. Makes it much more simple, UI-based, out-of-the-box integration. So just drilling a little bit deeper into it, right? So I talked about this. You have the ticket details coming into the system right here. Our approach allows you to plug in your own vendor, right? So, and by the way, without having to do any change to the UI, your new vendor that you want to integrate with, this information will just start showing up in Smart IT. So that's basically, and reuse. As we go through the architecture, you will see that more than half of the solution is reusable for enabling or working with a new vendor that's not available out of the box. Okay, so this here shows up, how we can deal with, different, when the ticket was picked up, right? Oh, the ticket was picked up, sent to AWS. Okay. Was there a common AWS user made? Or I need more information. Send me a screenshot of that error. That'll come up here. And then you say, hey, this is the screenshot. It'll be. So that's sort of a trail of sequence of things or activities that happen on the ticket are available and visible to you, right? So, okay. So let's dig in a little more. This is a DevOps use case, right? So, again, I'll take the example of BMC today. We do this and we're deploying this solution in our production. We have a dev tool where our Salesforce development team, right, a set of 4 developers who take care of day-to-day enhancement and customizations and configurations in Salesforce. They manage their work using this dev tool, and our users across the board, sales users, so VP of sales through all sales for, including PMs, right? The sales reps, DSA, PAMs, we call it, product managers, things. They all use Salesforce, right? So suppose there is a request for making a change, adding a new field into Salesforce. Now, the request comes in, it's an incident, gets reviewed. They say, hey, this is new feature. This is development work. This is a user story in Jira. So once the ticket comes in, you can push it into Jira. You get all the Jira ticket information right in here. Again, the same kind of a broken concept where you can collaborate and get all the information. And developer needs information, they can ask questions. You could drill down into Jira tickets in future. I think that's coming up. You see a Jira ticket, more than one ticket, assign it, and then creating a change. When the Jira ticket is done, code complete, want to create automatically create a change. It creates a change for you, set up rules. It creates a change that you can progress and deploy the change. Once again, the solution is open enough to configure other dev tool vendors, right? So as long as you can, and you can reuse for that purpose, you can reuse part of the solution to be able to do that. So this is an overview of the different flavors of flows that we are shipping with respect to Jira, right? So the two large vendors in this space, dev tools, agile development tools, there is Jira and there is Agile Central, used to be called Rally. So with Jira, we're shipping these many flows, right? So let's just take a moment here and understand. You can take an incident, you can set up configure rules that, hey, monitor remedy for incidents with such and such characteristics, and create a defect or user story or an issue or effect or whatnot. On the Jira side, it's a simple one flat data model, issue and issue type, so you can configure any set of rules, right? You can do that. That's one of the arrows here. The second, then you can have the other way, right? You can have monitor Jira for this project. Within this project, look for these characteristics of new issues, defects, user stories created. I want some of them to be visible in Remedy. This is my mapping. Use it and create an incident in Remedy. That's possible. The change request related flows. I have a change request in Jira. My developer is working on this feature. The feature is done, code complete, UAT done, ready for merge. At that point, I do not need to manually create a change in Remedy. System picks up vital pieces of information from Jira, bring it into Remedy, creates a change request, which goes through its life. Both of ends, if the change coordinator needs more information, records a comment in Remedy, all of that. Similarly, the other opposite flow. Start with a change request in Remedy. That requires some dev work. Push it into Jira, developer works, code complete, that updates come into Remedy. All of those flows are available out of the box today. So let me just make sure that we are able to, get the perspective here. This is ready to consume service. What would it mean you need to do if you have a Remedy environment on-prem or in SaaS? You need to point the service to your Remedy environment, point the service to your Jira environment, and it's ready to go, literally ready to go that fast. So this is a little more detail on this one. If you see, this is a change request. So this change, this is another flow that we support that it was created from scratch in Remedy. So either you have a continuous delivery of your deployment, right? So continuous delivery, any user story that gets done in Jira, I want to create a change request one for one. System can do that. This one is, I want to manually build out what sort of changes goes into it, then I can pull tickets in from Jira into a change, and I can have all the details in. I can collaborate right in from here, from Smart IT, and get more information, as you can see here. So we'll see a demo of this, please. Okay. Very quickly, with Rally or Agile Center, we're starting to build out these flows. And so right now, you have an incident in Remedy. One of those flows from Jira is available out of the box. You can create a user story on issue or defect on the Agile Central side. You can sync up status on those. You can collaborate on those, all out of the box. Okay. So this is, again, you can see same set of information, Agile Central ticket details on Smart IT on all clients. It's all available. And we'll see one of these examples in the demo. So quickly talk about the piece in the middle, right? That's the magic, multi-cloud service management. And the dashboard, cloud service dashboard, that gives you a whole lot more context. So you have tickets going from one end to the other end. Many systems do it. What sort of visibility do you have? What's what's the context that you can gather around as a service owner, right? Availability coming into from Remedy, notifications from the cloud vendors coming into multi-cloud, everything put together with KPIs and SLAs gives you a complete picture that you can get way more context about the service. So that's Cloud Service Dashboard that we're introducing with this product. Okay, so this is an example of the Screen Cloud Service Dashboard. Different services that are enabled for brokering, they show up. You get, you get how many tickets were brokered, so the availability, SLAs, right? So resolution time SLA, response time SLA, notifications received from the vendor. So we'll get into this. We'll see it a little bit more. Further drill down from there to a specific service. So, what are the brokered incidents, notifications, and, variation of incidents by priority, weekly sort of data availability. So this is an innovation suite-based application, right? So it allows you to tailor the application for your, we all know how easy it is to tailor these applications. So you can plug your things in or build new KPIs if you really like to. So let's get into the demo. I want to show the product in action. I think we took a little more time than I was planning for. So just quickly, the three demo scenarios that I want to go through is I want to broker an incident from Remedy Smart IT to AWS. We will go into Remedy, create an incident, send it to AWS, and we'll see it in both places, right? Then we will do Jira use cases 2 and 3. Push an incident from Remedy to Jira, create a user story, and then we will associate Jira user stories to a Remedy change, and then we'll go into Cloud Service Dashboard. So those are the 3 or 4 demos that we want to get to. I think I have. Let's go into this one. So I want to broker this incident from, and so our scenario is I'm running a whole lot of AWS workload. This is running slow. There is an issue. Our user calls in. There's an incident which we review and we see, hey, this is an issue. AWS needs to take a look at it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen monitor too. Okay, so so we are in Smart IT. Can anyone confirm, Greg? Are you able to see Smart IT? Just want to make
Absolutely.
Sure.
I can see it.
Thank you. So what I'll do is Smart Recorder, right? one of the biggest inventions out of BMC. I call it smart. So let's say Mary Mann reported low performance guy with Amazon EC2 instance. Okay, and we have all seen smart recorder, right? Instant BMC dev 001. Okay, so basically that's the ticket. It came in. We reviewed the ticket. We found right that this needs to be brokered to AWS. So in this case, what we're doing is right. Smart recorder. I'm not going to talk about it. Right? It's just smart. You just type everything in one sort of place and it picks in the service. So we right now have this system configured. Multi-cloud service management is configured to look for remedy for tickets with effective service, Amazon EC2 compute. If the service matches, we pick it up and send it over to AWS, right? So we have configuration. We have said, this is my AWS account. AWS has support APIs that we are calling. So we're monitoring this. So basically, the way the system works is multi-cloud service management is monitoring at a regular frequency. Right now, it's configured at 3-minute frequency. So within less than 3 minutes, it'll pick up this ticket and send it over there. So let's do this because we don't want to wait for 3 minutes. Our ticket here is 736. We'll come back to this ticket, but right now, in the interest of time, let's just go look at the ticket that I created this morning. So this is just now 736, but let's say this is the one 734. I did it about an hour ago this morning in my practice for this demo. So this ticket was created again exactly the same way we picked it up. Right? Look at here. So ticket was assigned. Business rules sent the ticket to AWS. Case is this is our case ID. From here, the case was resolved by AWS. So this case has been resolved. So this was the resolution time. They added this note, so we brought that back in, and then we resolve the system ticket on our side. So we have a configuration in the system whether you want to auto resolve based on resolution by the vendor, and so you see a complete history of it. By the way, if you have to send a note from here, you can send your note from here, whatever, need an ETA, and you have a checkbox here that says share with AWS. We can take the ticket over. AWS, obviously this interaction is if the vendor allows you to reopen and resolve tickets, and we'll try to do that, things like that. So it's completely out of the box, whole solution design here. Okay, now to our agent here, right, in Smart IT, you have the AWS ticket details. I hope you can see that. This is their ticket ID, and this is their title, description, things, set of other attributes that have come in there. Now, so basically all of that information is available, and your users stay in the interface of their choice. They do not, your data is not fragmented across different ticketing systems, and users are way more efficient, and there is no room for any communication gap, confusion. There is a single pane of glass for a holistic view of things. So let's go into AWS support system, right? I'm live here. We're connected the system to AWS, and they actually require the ticket to be with a certain title. If it is a ticket that you're trying it out for this, so it has to be test case, please ignore. We're not following here for that demo. So right now, if you see, I'm in AWS support console. These are the support cases. Now this is the one that I just logged, right? This is the new one that I just logged. a couple minutes ago, and that's where this is the ticket that came in. So let's go to Smart IT, right? This was the one, I go back. This is the, I'm on dashboard, a new ticket that I had created, right? 736-122-736. Here, now we will see the 3 minutes has passed, right? So you will see that this ticket, business rules, sent this ticket to AWS, right? And we see AWS ticket information. And this is the AWS ticket ID ending with 061. So if we go to AWS support console, this is the, by the way, again, all of those use cases of sending a comment, asking a question from AWS console, replying to that question, asking a question from Smart IT through all clients, iOS, Android, UC, and sending it over. All of that is available. So that's the incident brokering, ticket brokering use case. It's neat and clean and nice. Right. So that's demo number one. I want to go back to my demo scenario one more time, and let's talk about the next demo. So let's go into, so this one, so let's just talk about both of the, well, let's talk about just this one. So from incident in Remedy, I want to push it to Jira, create a user story for it. Right? Let's do that. So I go back to Remedy again. I will need to share my screen. And so I am creating a new, let's create a new incident here from create new this time. So the scenario is like sales people call, or VP of sales call, they need a new budgeted expense field in Salesforce on the opportunity object. People are spending too much money. So let's just say need to add budget expense on opportunity in SFA. Right, so this is our incident that comes in. The service is Salesforce automation. So for that service, the ticket came in, right? So we saved the ticket. The ticket came in. Our level 2, level 3 reviewed it. They determined this is new functionality, right? I mean, so what they do is, okay, the ticket got assigned to our auto assign rules. So they said, hey, I'm going to resolve this ticket. I'm going to push it to Jira for developers to track as part of their work. So we want to create, so they are saying, I'm resolving it as a future enhancement and say, new Jira story for their work, right? Now, we have here, what we did is mapped our resolution categories, seeded more values here that takes it based on this, what value you choose. We did a mapping that allows you on the other side to create whatever object on the Jira you want to create. So you did this. So once this happens, right, once this ticket is saved and it's met the criteria, we're going to push it into the Salesforce project in Jira, right? So obviously when you're using Jira as a dev tool, you're going to have many different projects, many different teams that have their own work through the same instance. So we can map through project, across project for different set of attributes. And so once again, in this case, it's going to take 3 minutes or less than 3 minutes to push the ticket over. What we want to do is just look into the one that I just did early this morning. So this is the one 737 I just created. Let's look at this one 732 I created earlier today. This is the ticket. So it basically business rules sent the ticket to Jira. Jira ID. This is the Jira ID. Here, after that has happened, I sent a note, need an ETA, all of that in that So the Jira ticket details in this case is MCSM241, right? And this is the title on the other side. This is purely mapping, right? You want to default something, add other fields to it, anything like that. So we go into Jira and look for this MCSM241. So MCSM241, let's maybe I just need to do it this way. 24. Let's open this one in a new tab. This is 240. I'm going to go to 241. Okay, so 241. So this is the field that user story that was created, right? So this was our incident right there in the title, so you can search in Jira, right? And then it created here. You got the comment, right? The comment that we recorded in Smart IT. So it shows need an ETA. We are approaching Q4 end in priority number 1. Basically, it's that simple. Again, plug and play, full control through UI. Out of the box mapping. Point to your Remedy, point to your Jira, and the system is ready to go. Okay, so again here if you were to share a note, share with Jira, all of that status synchronization, that's great. Now there is another flow that I'm not going to demo right now. Is you can do monitor Jira. User story reaches a certain status, right? You have control through the UI. You say, hey, status code complete, ready for merge. Pick it up and create a change. You can do that. So that's possible. I'm not going to go into that flow. Let's go to our third demo scenario here, and all right, I can click yes. So in this case, what we want to do, we want to start with a change, right? And this is a manual flow. I want to pick up a couple of user stories this is a common scenario, right? That the developers have 3-week-long sprint. 4 developers are working on n number of stories, 12 user stories. I only want to create 1 change request, right? So I want to pull those once I create a change request, I want to pull those user stories into this change request. So, basically I'll create a change request, try to pull the user story in and sort of collaborate from there on. So let's go back. Let me share. I think I got to share here. Share my screen, monitor 2. So I'm going to create a new change request. Smart IT, create from scratch. New change. Let's just say normal change. Yeah. So let's just say production merge for everything for this sprint, right? We just want to merge all of that. So just one-click change creation. You just create the change request. Now we got the CRQ number, right? So 11763. This is our CRQ number. So what I'm going to do, I have pre-created user stories here. I have 2 user stories, 236 and 237, which relates like SFA. So what I'm going to do is 236, right? I'm going to put the CRQ number as a label here, right? So this is the CRQ number that I just created, right? 11763. And I'm going to go to the next user story, put the label here. So in reality, what would happen is, your change coordinator will come into Jira, will look for, hey, in this sprint, which are the user stories that are near completion, and, they'll put the CRQ number, or you can collaborate. Change coordinator can create a CRQ number up front and pass it on to the developer. Say, everything that's going into this sprint, label it with this CRQ. Okay. So that's basically what will happen. Once you have done that, and now you're ready, so you're here in Smart IT with multi-cloud service management. You have this add Agile development tickets to change, and once you do that, it's going to try and bring the tickets in from Jira, right? And now you see it created one more, and I'm sure the set of other sort of tickets. I think that 201 probably somehow has gotten this CRQ number because there are multiple Smart IT instances that are going with the same Jira. So we can look at that, but basically you get the idea, right? That all the tickets from Jira that you want to bring it in are here. You have all the information here. You want to, once you brought them in, you want to take them off. You can take this off. 201, I didn't want to, so I'm gonna delete this one. So this is out, and it'll be taken out. So you have visibility on both hands. CRQ number is tagged on that user story in Jira, and here the change has those user story numbers in here, right? Now you want to send a note while you need more information. You can share your comment, whatever you ask the developer, it'll take it over there to the developer. They respond to it, it'll bring it back in here. So that's okay. So this is the, again, the same solution gets you a whole lot more power to be able to collaborate and work better in way more automated fashion with Jira than any other integration tool. Out of the box UI-based integration right in here, that's great for all clients, iOS, Android. Okay, so that's our scenario number 3. I'm going to take a minute more on the cloud service dashboard. Tom has a whole lot to talk about the architecture, so I just want to make sure we have time for that and a Q&A. So before we go there, I just want to go to the dashboard. So I got to share my screen, monitor 2, and so I have a URL for multi-cloud. This is multi-cloud service management login page. This is the cloud service dashboard, right? So based on different time frame, you have the services that you have enabled. Those services enabled for brokering, they are visible here. You have you have basic availability information. So think of this more of as a cloud service owner, the person responsible for the service coming in, and trying to see, hey, how many tickets were brokered? Availability, how is it? Has it been available? Has it been down? SLA, right? So response time SLA breach or resolution time breaches. Are there any notifications that have come in from the vendor? So these notifications, basically, you have a connector in multi-cloud that you can configure. So the way it works is today you give your cloud vendor an email address where all the notifications come in. What happens is those notifications are in an inbox or maybe in a mail list, and they get deleted. There's no history of it. What you need to, basically what we're suggesting here is that you have that email address, you include one more email address for this connector that we generate, and then the notification starts coming into the system. So all the notifications are stored here. Someone has looked at them, and if you need to go back, suppose they said, hey, from next month onwards, I'm not going to support browser so-and-so, and no one looked at it, missed it. All of those things, you have the complete history of notifications coming in from your cloud vendor. So you can drill down into that service further, right? So with many of these back-end integration solutions that allows you to push ticket from one end to the other end, you have really no visibility into what's going on. Here, you have your account details, you have history of broker tickets, right? How many open resolved? This will give you a trend. Are they keeping up with it? Are they, do I need to have a conversation with my CSM? Open incidents, SLA breaches, availability, there have been any outages, and these are notifications. Again, you can dismiss them. Brokered incidents, there. So all of these incidents that pass through the system, so you know. And by the way, if there were any challenges, right, in these systems, usually that other vendor system was not available. At so and so times when we try to go and create a ticket, it didn't like it. So all of those things, you have complete visibility to those from, what happened here, right? So all of that, those are available. So that's completely, those are the 4 parts of the demo that I wanted to cover. I took a little more time than I was hoping for. So let's just jump into technical architecture with Tom. Tom, Adrian, take it away.
Hi, Pradeep. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a great presentation. For everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be today. My name is Tom Adrian. I'm a product architect focused on multi-cloud service management. And I want to give a little bit deeper view of how all that great stuff that Pradeep has just shown is actually working underneath. So we're going to talk a little bit about all the different components of multi-cloud service management. There we go. All right. So from an overall architecture standpoint, multi-cloud service management is made up of sort of 2 key components. There is the multi-cloud service management application, which is built on top of the Innovation Suite platform. And this is running within the BMC Cloud. And the BMC Integration Services, which is also running within the BMC Cloud. So it's another cloud-based application. What each of those provide is different levels of functionality. The Integration Services application is providing the ability for data to be monitored and moved from ITSM into the multi-cloud application, and then from the multi-cloud application to the different vendors that we're supporting. And this is all done through the concept of flows, which we're going to talk about, and connectors. So connectors are the endpoints that actually provide the interaction and communication to the different applications via those application APIs. And flows are what connects those 2 connectors together. So you can think of it as a flow has a starting point where it's looking at some data. In this case, it's looking at ITSM, and an ending point, which in this case is a multi-cloud application. And the flow is taking the data from the starting point and moving it to the ending point, and providing the ability to do things like data transformations and different qualifications in terms of how data is configured. The integration services is the technology that we're using to do all of that data movement. The multi-cloud service management application itself also provides a lot of value. So in addition to just moving data, what the multi-cloud service management application provides is the ability to enrich that data and to be able to do things like track service level management, service level agreements against your vendors, and have that data show up in the cloud service dashboard that Pradeep showed. It also provides the ability to go get additional contextual information about your vendors, such as service outages. So it can read back to ITSM and understand, is this service out? Is there a service outage that I need to track? And it can show that in a consolidated place amongst the service dashboard. You can also go out to the vendors, like Pradeep showed, and go get notifications and other information from that vendor and show them in a consolidated place. And so it has a lot of additional add-on capabilities to integrate with your different vendors. And also, in terms of moving data, provides the ability to do very complex transformations. So, for example, if I wanted to take the categorization in ITSM, let's say category tiers 1, 2, and 3, and map those to a category code in Amazon Web Services, I need to have an ability to define that. Let's say category 1 is equal to value A, category 2 is equal to value B, category 3 is equal to value C, then set that to particular category code that that vendor supports. So multi-cloud service management application provides those very complex transformations of data that's needed to be able to connect to applications together. We also provide the ability to monitor the vendor itself. Yeah, so there's one flow which is taking the traditional ticket brokering flow, which is taking data from ITSM, bringing it into multi-cloud, enriching that data, and sending that data to the vendor. But we also can monitor that vendor, and as data changes on that ticket, you can bring those updates back into the multi-cloud application. We also support the use cases that Pradeep showed around Jira and Rally, where I can actually be monitoring user stories or defects that are created in the vendor and bring those back and create records within ITSM, change management. So the flows can go either way. They can go from Remedy to the vendor, and in certain cases we provide the ability to take data from the vendor and bring it back to Remedy. The other benefits that the multi-cloud service management application provides is that we have a common generic interface between Remedy Smart IT and the service management application. So when Pradeep showed you the incident records and the change records and the details that were being shown on those records around Jira tickets, around AWS tickets, Agile Central tickets, those are all being read from the multi-cloud application. So Smart IT makes a call to the multi-cloud service management application to get those details in a generic way and then display them in Smart IT. The benefit of that is as we add additional vendors on the right-hand side, the integration to Smart IT doesn't have to change. And this also supports the ability for you to go build your own custom connectors for your own specific needs and specific applications you want to integrate with, and connect them into multi-cloud service management. And really only have to worry about the right-hand side. The left-hand side is all done by VMC and supported by VMC. So that's kind of the key pieces around the technical architecture itself. From a detail standpoint, if you want to double-click down to one level below, this is kind of showing the flows that we use to actually move the data between the different applications. And those flows contain different components. They contain the concept of a trigger. So a trigger is what's actually looking at the vendor or the tickets and monitoring it and determining if that ticket should be moved. Actions, which are what should happen. Should I create data in the multi-cloud application? Should I update data? So you have different actions, and then you have mappings. So mappings are how you want the data from field A to be moved to field B. And you want to have A transformations happen as a result of movement of that data. So all of those flows are managed within the integration services application itself. So let me bring that up and kind of show you what does it actually look like, and how can you actually tailor those flows to your particular needs. Let me open up my desktop here. All right, so what I'm showing here is Integration Studio. So this is the main interface into integration services. And within Integration Studio, you can see all of the different flows that we provide out of the box. So, and in this view, I grouped them by the different vendors that we're supporting. So in the middle piece here are the interactions that are happening from that left-hand side to the multi-cloud application. So we support out of the box the ability to go create broker incidents. We support activity note movement from both incident and change, which is important because it actually supports the whole collaboration use case. And so, you know, we kind of look at this holistically. It's not just moving a single ticket and managing a single ticket. We really want the whole experience to be a very collaborative experience between the agent and the vendor and the person who's working on the ticket on the vendor side. So we're leveraging the activity notes in Smart IT and ITSM and the different abilities within the different vendors to actually support notes and commenting and things like that, and integrating those two things together so that there can be this collaboration between the agent and the vendor as they go on. So we support that both for incident and change. We also support service outages, like I was mentioning before. So this can, based on the services that you want to monitor within a cloud service dashboard, you can bring any outage information into the multi-cloud application and have that single consolidated view of all those outages in one place. We also support the ability to pass resolution from a status synchronization standpoint. So in the use case here, this is supporting the ability on the ITSM side. If I resolve an incident on the ITSM side, I want it to get resolved in Amazon or Service Cloud on their side. We also, vice versa, support the ability for if a record gets resolved on the vendor side, for that record to also get resolved back to ITSM, either via just a status update to resolve, or we can also support just the ability of adding a workbench. So you don't want to automate the full status. You just want the agent to be notified that the vendor ticket was resolved. We can support that as well. It's all done via configuration and supported as part of the multi-cloud application itself. So that's the middle piece here. These are the flows that are supporting moving data from ITSM into the multi-cloud application. And then we also have flows that are taking data from the different vendors and bringing them back to the multi-cloud apps. So we have the ability from Jira to go create change requests and incidents. We have the ability to also synchronize data and pull comments. And the same thing is true for Service Cloud as well. So now what I want to do is you can kind of see what are all the flows that we ship out of the box. I want to dive into one of these flows, kind of show you what is it doing and how can you tailor these flows to your own specific needs. So when you go look at a flow, what you're going to see is on the left-hand side, those connection points. So this is showing that we have a Remedy ITSM connector, and this is monitoring the data that's being created or updated within the ITSM application. And we have a multi-cloud connector, which is taking the data from ITSM and creating records within multi-cloud application. On the right-hand side, we have details that show how often is this flow running. We can see status of flows that have run previously. And when you get the details, you can actually control how the flow is actually going to run and under what conditions this flow is going to run. So when we dig into conditions for this particular flow, so this is a flow that's targeted around incidents in ITSM and bringing those into a DevOps tool like Jira or Agile Central. So what we provide out of the box is the ability for incidents that have been resolved with a status reason of future enhancements to be pulled from ITSM and be evaluated for what DevOps tool you want to send it to. Now, this can be changed. If this isn't your business rule around how you want this done, I can change this to any different status values. I can remove these. I can add additional fields and values as my triggering condition, including fields and values of any custom field. So we're not limiting to just the fields that are shipped out of the box with ITSM. We also support any custom fields that you may have added into ITSM that you want to use, either as triggering conditions or data that you want to send to the vendor. So that's the conditions part of it. Underneath conditions, we have field mappings. And field mapping is where you actually take the data from ITSM and tell it how you want to move that data into the system, into the multi-cloud environment. So you have basic mappings like taking summary and moving to summary and priority to priority, etc. But what I want to show is how you can actually control this flow and tell it what vendor do I actually want to send this data to. So that's controlled via these interfaces. We have technology service and vendor ticket type. Now, out of the box, what we actually provide is a mapping that, say, use resolution categorization as a way of indicating what technology service you want to send this to and what type of ticket you want to have created. So when a ticket gets created in ITSM, the value that is put into resolution category tier 1 and resolution category tier 3 can be used to dynamically send the data to the appropriate vendor based on data that's on the incident itself. Now, sometimes that won't work. You may have different data than what we require. If that's the case, you can use data transformations. So integration services provides the ability to say, hey, if the value coming from ITSM is Jira all in lowercase, then I want to change it to Jira all in uppercase, or whatever value that you're using. And this can be any value, right? So any value on the ITSM side, you can transform into the values that we care about in multi-cloud, which is Jira and Agile Central. So as long as you're transforming the data to these two values, the multi-cloud application can then take that information and route it to the appropriate vendor. And let's say you added a third vendor here. Let's say you added, you had your own DevOps tool, maybe your own homegrown DevOps tool that you're using. You can use the same flow. All you have to do is, when you're adding your DevOps tool, you would give it a name, and you would do the same transformation and use technology service as the way of routing it to your vendor or your homegrown application that you want to integrate to. So that's how you can actually use transformations. And now, and again, in our example, we use resolution categorization as the example field, but it doesn't have to be this field. It could be any field, again, on the incident, including custom fields. So if you have some custom way that you've extended ITSM to represent what vendor a ticket should be going to and what type of ticket. So again, same thing we have down here for vendor ticket type. You can user story and defect are the two types that we're supporting right now. Any value that you put in resolution category, you could transform, or if you have a different field and different values, whatever value you have or whatever field you have, you can use to transform that data into the appropriate values that we use in the multi-cloud application. So the benefit of this is that makes it all very generic and very open to adding, to letting you control how things are moved within the system using your data, and to extend this to support other vendors that you want to support. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's say you want to go add another vendor and support that vendor that we don't currently support as part of multi-cloud. That can be done as well. So that can be done by, as you were kind of showing, the different connectors that we support out of the box. You can go write your own connector. So we provide the ability for you to write your own connector and get documentation and information around how you write your own connector. And those could be Java-based connectors. They can be JavaScript-based connectors. You would also then use those connectors to build your flows to sync data back. So you'll be kind of finishing up the right-hand side of that diagram that I was showing earlier, which is bringing data back from the vendor into the multi-cloud application, and then extending the multi-cloud application to call your connector to go create data. The left-hand side, which is all the Remedy pieces, that all would stay the same. You never would have to change any of that, because all of these flows that are down here around Remedy ITSM are all generic. But these can be used for any vendor that you want to integrate to. So all you'll be doing is creating the additional connectors and then creating these additional flows from your vendor back into the multi-cloud application. And via that, you can add additional vendor and have that data show up within Smart IT. So those are some of the key things that we support from a high-level architecture standpoint. I'm going to go back to the diagram. So what to kind of summarize, from an overall standpoint, the multi-cloud application is made up of the multi-cloud application itself, which is built on integration services, innovation suite, and deployed within the BMC cloud. We consume integration services as a mechanism for transferring data between ITSM, multi-cloud, and the vendor, and vice versa. Remedy ITSM Smart IT has an extension which can read directly to the multi-cloud application in a generic way to display data in the Smart IT UI. And you can add additional vendors via vendors that we create and connectors that we create, or you can add and create your own custom connectors for vendors that we don't currently support, and update the right-hand side using those custom connectors. The left-hand side remains generic and can be used for any vendor that you create. So I hope that gave you a pretty good overview. It was fairly quick, but it gave you a good overview of the overall architecture and how things fit together, and where you would go about to make changes to add in your own specific customizations. So I'm going to turn it back now to Pradeep to finish up.
Thank you, Tom, for that detailed architecture. I think we can see that how easy it is to literally manage these pieces. First of all, the out-of-the-box nature of the solution, right? Plug and play out of the box. So it's not an integration coding project that you have to go through. You can just start using the service today, basically. Second of all, how easy it is to support other vendors that you have your own and that are not available out of the box. We're working on adding new vendors every release. So the common vendors you will see, we will end up adding. I see a whole lot of questions about some of these other large cloud vendors. We are working on supporting them, and specifically with Microsoft Azure, they don't yet have published APIs. At least last we checked, those APIs were not available. So we don't have as out-of-the-box service integration with Azure. We have with DWP Advanced, there is integration about provisioning an instance in Azure, and that will be available. But for service management, ticket creation, and all, the APIs don't exist today. That's my understanding. That might have changed in the last couple of months. They are high up on our list, so we will we'll get to it, basically. Couple other points, and then we can open up the lines for questions. I think we can see the sort of the beauty, the out of the box nature of this solution, right? How it allows you to just have a single pane of glass across these multiple cloud vendors. not get into ticket fragmentation, have the control over the data that you need, so that you can have that reasonable conversation at a quarter end of review of your service with your cloud vendor, or have visibility across into the system, right? And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think I want to keep some time here for questions. There's this other one, right? So what exactly do you get with this, right? It saves you a whole lot of time and effort on integrations, which are completely UI driven, right? Supporting with all the features, and being able to manipulate that without requiring a technical resource. You have a whole lot more visibility with the vendor system, collaborating, consolidation of data, reporting, right? A whole lot more productivity. There's no room for any more confusion. My service agent does not work in n number of different interfaces. They stay in one interface. Information comes to them and they act on it, right? That's kind of the approach. So better reporting, better insights, way more intelligent, much simpler to integrate. That's kind of the core benefits for multi-cloud. I have a slide on. You can get to it. Yes. Resources, if you need more information, bmc.com, you will find a page under Remedy. You will find a page for multi-cloud service management. Doc site is now with couple release out. We have a whole lot of information in there. You can contact your BMC account rep. We are happy to do a demo, and show it to you and, try it out. And Remedy ITSM community right now, we are in there with most other people. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to post anything over there. So now I think we can open up the lines for Q&A, audio Q&A here on the operator.
Yeah, Leanne, can you provide instructions to our callers that want to ask a question?
If you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing *1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. A voice prompt on the phone line will indicate when your line is open. Please state your name before posing your question, and again, please press *1 to ask a question. We'll pause for just a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal for questions. And it looks like we have no questions in the queue at this time.
Okay. So while people are queuing up, let me just take a couple of questions. There was one about from the chat window, right? Please speak if you have an audio question, you get a priority. Just say start, and I'll take your question on the phone. Let's just make sure. So Microsoft Azure support, they do not, that's my understanding. I think last I heard, they were soon, they're going to be releasing those APIs, and we'll be working with them and collaborating and supporting those within multi-cloud service management. Let's say there was a question about custom fields. Both ends, am I going to be able to use custom fields that are using on the vendor side? So both ends, even Remedy side, the custom fields that you may have used, we bring both into multi-cloud, right? So we have an out-of-the-box mapping of out-of-the-box attributes. We think they'll work for you, but if you have other custom fields, both ends, we bring it in, you can map and good to go, and transform and good to go. Again, there was another piece to that one other customer asked in previous sessions, is that once I have a custom field in Remedy, and this was about Rally, and then what I do is then in Rally, I go and add another custom field after I've done the mapping. All you would need to do, there's something called as refreshing the schema generation, so you go to Integration Studio, you go to the Rally connector, you sort of refresh something there, then it'll pull in the latest set of field definition from that that vendor, and it'll bring it in, and you will have that newly available custom field, newly created custom field available, and you can use it. So, are there any other audio questions now?
And as a reminder, it is star 1 to ask a question over the phone line. And there are no questions over the phone line at this time.
So there was a question here about displaying third-party vendor, right? So the vendor that's not supported out of the box, you built your own connector, right? You can reuse a whole lot of it, right? Like Tom mentioned, from Remedy to multi-cloud, that piece is built. That piece is available for you to reuse. So all you need to build is from multi-cloud to that vendor, and you can literally copy the approaches that we have coded in. So that's simple enough. But also that you don't have to mess around with Smart IT UI to get this vendor to get information into all of the clients, iOS client, Android client, UC. All that information is going to be readily plugged in. Okay. There was another question that comes in is, hey, I have vendor-specific fields. Can I somehow manipulate, and have, some set of fields with one vendor, some other set of fields with other vendor? That's completely open. You can choose to display a different set of fields for different vendors on the Smart IT side. So this is configured. This is configured in multi-cloud. You have a default set of attributes, and whatever you sort of indicate that gets displayed in Smart IT, so that can be vendor specific. So this is just coming into the closing time. I see if there are any other pressing questions. I see most of the questions are already answered. Training, yeah, absolutely. We're working on a whole lot of other resources on multi-cloud, and you will see. If you have a specific need, you have a high urgency project, we'd love to get in touch with you. And, please reach out to me. My email is Pradeep_Kumar@bmc.com. You could, reach out through your account rep, and we're happy to get into a conversation to look at your connectors, your use cases, and really partner with many of you to make it a successful offering for your environment. So with that, if there are no more audio questions, Greg, you have any closing comments, anything that you want to get into?
Absolutely. Thank you, Pradeep and Tom, for the wonderful presentation. Just wanted to cover contacting BMC in general via our social channels, as well as tech support via web, phone, and email. And the knowledge base is available via the support portal. Again, wanted to thank everyone for attending this month's webinar. The recording of this session, along with all the Q&A, will be posted a week from today's live showing. And again, thank you for attending the Connect with Remedy monthly webinar series.